Hi everyone, we are live. Thank you so much for coming here today. So, uh, welcome to Python Philippines, a day in the life of a work from home Pythonista. My name is Alysson,
Hi, I'm Ange.
and we are both members of Python Philippines Board of Trustees and will be your hosts for today. All right, so A Day in the Life of a Work from Home Pythonista is a weekly virtual webinar talk show series where we interview Pythonistas representing various roles um, to give people in the community an insight of what a typical workday looks like for a developer, a CTO, a data scientist, a QA, a network engineer, among others. And we are hoping that this would serve as an inspiration and give a sense of community, especially for most who are working from home today.
So today we are now with Cory Althoff. He is currently an author, programmer, and speaker, best known for the book The Self-Taught Programmer, which has been published in 7 languages and introduced the term self-taught programmer into one common lexicon. Book Authority named The Self-Taught Programmer one of the greatest programming books of all time, and the next version listed it as one of the 10 books that will help you become a better software engineer. Over 200,000 developers are part of the self-taught programmer community he created through his popular Facebook group, blog, newsletter, and Udemy course. In 2019, Cory gave the opening keynote speech at PyCon JP, and he is currently a developer advocate at Vonage and lives in the Bay Area with his wife and daughter. Hi guys, please welcome Cory Althoff. Hello.
Thank you so much. It's great to be here.
Hi, Cory.
Hi. And so am I supposed to launch into talking about the 5-minute introduction, or how does this work?
Yeah, so we'll just proceed with the talk. We're really excited to see your work from home setup.
Okay, yeah. So should I jump into my video?
Yep.
Okay, cool. So let me share my screen. And yeah, I recorded a quick video. So this is actually, I'm at home right now, but I work from WeWork typically. And so I just wanted to show what it looks like at WeWork, my office. Oh no, I made it small. So I'll play that again in case. So that's WeWork San Ramon. It's really nice. It's overlooking a lake, and you can basically sign up for a membership there or get an office. I have a membership there, and so I work out of there. Sometimes I work out of home. I alternate, but I have a young daughter, and so often I will work out of that office just because it's hard to get things done sometimes with a 9-month-old baby at home. And yeah, so a little bit about me. I am a developer advocate at Vonage, as was mentioned earlier, and I'm also the author of a book, The Self-Taught Programmer. My new book, The Self-Taught Computer Scientist, is coming out in July, so I'm really excited about that. The subtitle is The Beginner's Guide to Data Structures and Algorithms. So it's a book to really help people in the self-taught community pass a technical interview. And so there's a lot of covering linked lists and trees and all of that kind of stuff, and big O notation, everything you would need to pass a technical interview, because often when people are programming outside of school, they miss some of that stuff, and then it's hard to pass a technical interview. So that's what I focused on in that book. And when I talk about the self-taught community, over the last few years, I've been building a community of programmers, and the theme of the community is people that have learned how to program outside of school. So that's what I'm referring to when I say self-taught programmers. So I have a Facebook group. We're up to like around 60,000 members now. So that's been
Wow.
really cool to have the opportunity to be involved and build that community. And it's all people that have just been learning how to program in a non-traditional way by not getting a CS degree. And I'm a big fan of Python myself. So that was the first programming language I ever learned was Python. And both of my books are Python books. So my first book, The Self-Taught Programmer, is in Python, and my new book is in Python as well. So in addition to writing those two books, I am a developer advocate at Vonage. I've been at Vonage for about 2.5 months now. It's been really great. I'm working as a developer advocate, which means that I'm responsible for helping spread awareness about our APIs. So we have a lot of awesome communication APIs. We have an API to send SMS messages super easily in like 3 lines of code, to make phone calls. We have a API that allows you to stream video, which is really, really cool. So you could basically create like your own Twitch, your own version of Twitch, and a lot of other awesome APIs in that space. And so it's been really great because my team is really big on Python. A lot of people at Vonage are Python enthusiasts, and we have SDKs for Python as well. So when I'm writing code, I get to write code in Python. For a lot of what I do is product demos. So I've been creating demos for our various APIs. And like I said, I work out of home, and this is my office actually at home. And then I also work out of WeWork San Ramon, which is the other place I work out of. So yeah, that's the quick introduction about me and what I'm doing. Yeah.
Oh, that's great. You have so many roles that you have jumped in. Actually, there are so many attendees who were with us today, and they are really interested to know more about the community that you created. Will you share us the community that you created? I believe that it is in your slides.
Yes. Yeah. Let me pull up my slides. So those are the books that I wrote. And so, as I said, the self-taught programmer community is a community of people that are learning how to code outside of school. And so I wanted to introduce you to a few people in the community. So this is Victor. This is a post that he posted in the Facebook group, and he said,
I think we can, sorry, I think we can see your screen right now.
oh, did I not share my screen? Oh,
yeah.
Hold on one sec. Can you see it now?
Yep.
Okay, cool. So a few success stories from the community that I started. This is Victor. He went from a beginner to a full-time programmer. And you can see the highlighted part. He said that today he's working with Python at a major tech company. And less than 1 year ago, he was just learning CSS and HTML with no direction. And now he's on a data science team. So that was a super inspiring the story rather. And another person in our community that went from a beginner to a programmer without a degree, Dragon. And as you can see, he recently got a job as a full-time programmer and was just sharing his experience. So it's really cool to see these success stories. Actually, on Vonage's Twitch channel, I did an interview today. It's called Vonage Devs if you want to check it out. But we have a really great Twitch channel. And I streamed today with someone named Christina, and she is a part of the community, and her story was just super inspirational. She went from a complete beginner. It took her a week actually to get Python installed on her computer. So I was just blown away at her perseverance and the fact that it took her a week just to get Python installed. And here she is today working as a software engineer at a big company. So that was a super inspiring story of how, and it was just so cool to hear about how she was able to do that. So that's the best part about building this community and being a developer advocate, is just getting to see these success stories of people going from complete beginners and ending up as software engineers. So it's really cool. And as I've said, I'm now working as a developer advocate at Vonage. So Vonage is an award-winning cloud communications provider, as I mentioned, and we have a suite of APIs to help developers like you easily do things like send text messages, make phone calls, and more. And I showed you my workspace already. And so my final slide, what I do for fun. So this is my daughter, Luca, and she pretty much takes up all of my time. That is my wife, Bobby. But for fun these days, I mostly hang out with my family. That picture in the middle was last weekend. We actually went to the zoo. We went to the Oakland Zoo. It was a lot of fun. And she's a lot of work, but it's amazing getting the opportunity to have a daughter and to see her grow up. She's just growing up so fast. So it's been a really amazing experience. And she's my first daughter. We're planning on at some point having another kid, but it's been really crazy seeing her grow up so fast. So those are all the slides I had for you. And that was my intro.
All right. So, by the way, your daughter is really cute.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. You mentioned earlier that you were working in the office, but at the same time, you also work from home. So, can you tell us more like your schedule? How often do you work from home and how often do you go to the office?
Yeah. And just to be clear, yeah, it's not Vonage's office or anything. It's WeWork, so I do it
Oh,
independently. So
okay.
it's sort of a work from home type thing still when I'm there. I'm fully remote at Vonage. So I would say I work from home usually like 2 days a week, and then 3 days a week I go to the office and the WeWork office. And yeah, so that's what my schedule looks like.
So
Okay.
have you been working like from home, like for your the duration of your career before, or did you start just working from home when the pandemic hit us?
Oh, that's a good question. So I have been working from home for a very long time, a few years, like I would say, I think 4 years now, because I'm working at Vonage now, and before I was writing books, and I did that all from home. And so this was my first time even experimenting with like having sort of a WeWork type situation. But yeah, so I have been working from home for many years now.
Wow, so you're like the work from home expert. Even before the rest of us started working from home, you were already
Yes.
doing that. So do you have
Yes.
any like work hacks or productivity tools that you use to help you focus maybe on work or
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm a big believer in the productivity system, getting things done. I don't know if you're familiar with it, but it's a really great book by David Allen. That's also a productivity system that he came up with. And so I followed that. And so the essence of it is that you break everything down into projects. And I can talk more about that later if you like, but the tools I use to implement that productivity uh, system is Todoist and Notion. I don't know if you've heard of Notion. It's a really great note-taking app. I use that. And I also use Monday.com. And what else do I use? Google Calendar, Google Docs, but those are the big ones. And then also one more, Productive. It's only for iOS, but it basically is a habit tracking app, and it has a beautiful UI. I really like it, and it enables me to keep track of habits. So I do that as well. So those are my main tools.
sorry, what's the name of the habit tracking tool?
It's called Productive.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because I've talked to a lot of people, and ever since the pandemic started and they had to work from home, a lot of people have been having a hard time concentrating, like especially when you get used to like an office setting and then you suddenly have to work from home. So
Uh,
it's a very different environment.
yeah. One more hack is I'll show you. Hold on. I have these. These are the best thing ever. They're kind of ridiculous looking, but I literally would like wear these, and they're not electronic or anything, but they're headphones that just block out noise. They use them at like, these are the type
Oh,
of ones that they use at like gun ranges, but you can't hear anything. And I feel like that is huge for me. Just being able to block out noise is
yeah.
huge. So yeah, I use that. I use the noise blocking out headphones. So that's big, especially if I've got Luca crying next, in the next room over. It's really hard to concentrate, so that helps a lot.
All right. So, for our audience, if you have any questions, you may start typing them now here. By the way, Ange, do you have any questions for Cory?
I also have some questions, Cory. Since you mentioned that you are currently creating a book, you have created a book that has been published already, and there is another book that will be published that is not yet published. So I just want to know what are your inspirations that made you create those kind of books? What are the problems that you want to solve in the community? So what comes to your mind when creating programming books?
Yeah, that's a great question. So originally the problem I wanted to solve, my backstory is that I graduated with a major in political science, and I graduated, couldn't get a job, and I ended up teaching myself how to program, and I got a job as a software engineer at eBay. And that was a while ago. So when I was making that journey, there weren't as many programming resources, and I felt really frustrated because I felt like I had to piece together so many different resources. There was no just one guide that you could go to, that one roadmap that said, okay, this is what you need to do if you want to program professionally. You need to learn how to program in a language like Python or JavaScript or whatever it is. You need to learn object-oriented programming. You need to learn how to use Git and all these tools and how to use an IDE. And then you need to be able to pass a technical interview. And I felt like that wasn't all covered in one place. And even just having that roadmap, I just wanted to give that to other people because I felt like I had to fish around so much to find that roadmap myself. And it was really frustrating. And so I just wanted to solve that problem of there not being a guide for how to actually make that journey. So that was my original intention. And then with the second book, I felt like there just wasn't, I think just writing the book in Python was huge, because a lot of data structures and algorithms books are in C or Java. And I feel like Python's so much easier to understand. And so I just wanted a really easy to understand data structures and algorithms book, which I feel like didn't exist. And so I was really happy to be able to work on this project and hopefully create something that anyone can read, that beginners will find super easy to understand. And I think it being in Python is huge.
Wow, that's one of a great advocacy that you want to solve. I also had an experience before when I was in college. We had so many topics that we tackled on while I was studying computer science, and all of those theories and all of those things just suddenly popped out. I mean, it was just gone when I started working. So I think the book that you created was a good thing for us developers to read on, because it helps us. It's like a handbook for all the developers. It contains all of the things that you want to know. So yeah, it's a great book.
Yeah,
So
a handbook, exactly.
yes. So you mentioned that the lead that you work with told you to start learning about Python. So I was wondering if is Python the first programming language that you ever learned, or was it from HTML, CSS to Java, or then you then switch to Python?
Yeah, it was actually the first language that I ever learned. So yeah, it's special to me for sure in that it was the first language I ever picked up, and I still love using it today. So that's really cool.
Oh yeah. Here's one from Nino Eclarin. Hi, I love programming CS books, but with all the online tutorial and docs, why do you think books are still relevant? I have lots of junior engineers that hated me for giving them books to read. um,
That's, that's a good question. That's a tough one. Why are books still relevant? I definitely think books are still relevant because sure, you could find material online, but in the case of my book, it's 300 pages. And if you wanted to collect all that information, that's essentially what I did. and it takes a really long time. So if you had to go and be like, okay, I'm going to find this 300 pages of tutorials scattered throughout the internet, it just, I guess, depends on how much you value your time, right? Like, do you want to spend like hours and hours and hours and hours doing that? And some of the material might be poorly written and it might be hard to understand. And some of it might be in Python and some of it might be in Java, or do you just want one roadmap that's someone, basically you're paying someone else to do that for you, put it all in a nice package and you're saving time that way. So that would be my defense of books, why it makes sense. With my latest book, there was certain algorithms where I just like spent forever trying to find an explanation and then find it, be able to write it in Python. Like I could only find it in like another language, and that took me a ton of time. So I'm doing that so other people don't have to, so that would be my answer to that.
Yeah, and actually for those who prefer like watching videos, you have a Udemy course, right?
Yes, I do have a Udemy course. Yes.
Yeah, I actually went through the Udemy course and I was really impressed because all of the topics, like normally I keep like notes of the things that I usually use when I do dev work, and it's like all of the things, the basic stuff that I've been doing are summarized there, and it's very very easy to find things. So yeah.
Oh, that's really cool. I'm happy to hear that you enjoyed it. That's awesome. Cool. Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
So we have another question. Oh, Nino. Nino reacted. That's why I gave them the books.
Yeah.
So another attendee, his name Shu. He has a question. From being a pol sci to becoming a self-taught programmer, what will be your advice to career shifters, and what are the adjustments you did aside from learning on your own about Python when made the shift?
Yeah, that's a good question. So, what I'm curious. I just have a follow-up question to that. What exactly do you mean by what adjustments did I do? I can try to tackle it, but if you want to clarify that in the comments, that could be helpful. But general advice for career shifters. Well, first of all, just saying, knowing that you can do it. In the community that I built, there's a lot of people that have gone from every type of job to coding professionally, which is really inspiring to see. And so my number one advice would be to start with Python and not to try to, so some general advice, just things that come up. One would be to start with Python. I think that if you start with a language like C or Java, it has a much higher failure rate from my personal experience. And so that's huge. Not trying to learn more than one language at a time is something else that I see as a common mistake. People will be trying to learn multiple languages, and I don't think that is very productive. Try to just master, the programming fundamentals, and understand one language. And then from there, you can move on and try to learn other languages. But that's some just general advice that I would give. Focus a lot on projects. I worked on games a lot, and I feel like that's a really fun way to just keep learning and to stay engaged and really see how fun programming is to work on games. And then my other piece of advice would be to freelance for career shifters. So I came up with this concept I call climbing the freelance ladder. I talk about it in my Udemy course, but it's basically starting with very small freelance projects, like $5 projects that don't necessarily pay super well, but they pay well in experience, and trying to build up a portfolio of freelance work and just going to higher and higher and higher different higher and higher projects, higher paying projects, until you can apply to a job and you have some freelance work that you're proud of, and you can talk about that so that you actually have some experience. And then networking. The guest I had on my Twitch show today talked about how, it was just really inspiring hearing. She was relentless with networking. She was on LinkedIn messaging CTOs, and there's no way she was not going to get a job, because she was talking to so many people. She was speaking at conferences. After she graduated from a boot camp, she hadn't even gotten her first software engineering job, and she was off speaking at conferences, messaging CTOs. So I would just say be really proactive and network. build up freelance experience. So that would be my advice.
Wow. So speaking of that, there was another question here. In your experience with the community members, what is the shortest and longest time for someone with zero knowledge to become work ready?
That's a good question. To become a software engineer, right? That's the question.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, they just said work ready, so.
Work ready. Okay. Yeah. So for me, it took around a year. I think that people have gone faster by going to boot camps. I mean, if you go to a super intense boot camp, the person I was talking to today went to a boot camp that was like she worked on weekends. So it was 12 weeks working through weekends, working like 12-hour days. I think you could probably get work ready in some of those boot camps are 3 months. So I would say anywhere, but you know, I'm a little bit skeptical of you being fully work ready in 3 months, even if you do go to a super intense boot camp. But I don't know. I think a reasonable time frame is like 8 months to a year. I mean, it does take a good amount of time, I think, to become work ready and to become a software engineer, but it's definitely worth it. So don't get discouraged. Everything that takes a long time like that is definitely worth it. And those skills will be with you for the rest of your life. So
Yeah, I really agree with that. And also, when even after taking the bootcamp, it really takes some time for you to adjust, like to the things that you have to do and to really start a project. So as you mentioned,
yeah,
it really helps when you try to create your own projects and to build your portfolio.
absolutely.
Yeah. So we have another question here from Albert from Bash. He said, if you get stuck in a problem, what do you do?
I go for a walk. That's my go-to.
Oh, okay. That's interesting.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think it helps like to, maybe to refresh your mind.
for sure. Yeah. And to just think
Same.
about something else. Just work on something completely else for a while. If I get super frustrated, I'll just stop, go on a walk. Yeah, podcasts are good and do something
Mhm.
else. And then I feel like I'll figure it out at some point. But yeah, just taking some space is super helpful.
Yeah, you can even water your plants by the time you're thinking about something.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, so the next question that we have is, was it difficult to fit in the professional culture as an undergraduate? Any milestone you've beaten the pros and get respect or soft skills?
Yeah, it was definitely. So my first job was super intimidating because, like I said, I worked at eBay and I was a self-taught programmer. I didn't have a computer science degree, and my team, it was just ridiculous. Like we had someone from Stanford, someone from um, Caltech, someone for two people from Berkeley. It was just all the top CS programs in the US. So and then me. And so that was super intimidating. And that was one of the reasons why I wrote my new book. I always felt I definitely had major imposter syndrome and felt like I didn't really belong there. And so that's why I'm hoping my book can help a lot of people because I didn't have any computer science background. So that's sort of the problem with when you do boot camps or you go the self-taught route. It's really important that you do study computer science as well, because they would just talk about all this. Well, I just remember them always talking about all these computer science topics, and I'd be like, oh, I have no idea what you're talking about. And that was hard, especially being new to a team and having such skilled people on that team. It was a little difficult. So it was definitely intimidating. But I think to get respect and I stayed really late and I worked hard and I just tried as hard as I could. So I think that is the way to get respect, is just to work as hard as you possibly can, and you'll learn the things that you need to learn, but just working really hard.
All right. Yeah, I think that's really true. And um, working hard and being determined in what you really wanted to do would help you a lot. Okay, so we have another question here from
Okay, so I think Alysson was stuck in the internet. Um, okay, so it's already 1:29. So I think we don't have any more questions. Um, do you have any announcements to tell to the participants?
Announcements. Yeah, so I'd love to connect with you all. My Twitter handle is Cory Althoff. If you want to send me a message, if you have any questions that I wasn't able to get to, I'd be happy to. If you send me a message on Twitter, I'd be happy to answer your question. And it was really great getting the opportunity to talk with you all. I appreciate all the questions. And yeah, check out Vonage's APIs. We have a really cool community as well, Vonage Voyagers. If you want to check that out and perhaps be a part of that community. And of course, you can join the self-taught community. We'd love to have you all. So yeah, check out some of Vonage's APIs at developer.vonage.com. And other than that, just thank you all so much for doing this. This is really fun. And I hope it gave you a glimpse into the day in the life of a work from home Pythonista. So thank you all so much.
Thank you. Nino, he has another follow-up question. What's your GitHub?
C Althoff. Yeah, there you
Okay. See you.
Okay.
Thanks, Shara. So any more questions? I don't think we have questions anymore. So thank you so much for attending. I also have another announcement to tell. We are actually calling for sponsors for our webinar. If you have if your company is showing interest, please info at please send an email to info@python.ph. So that's it. Alysson, do you have any other announcements?
Yeah, I guess that's it for me. Again, thank you so much, Cory. And we'd also like to thank all the participants that we have today. And see you in the next episode of Python Philippines, a day in the life of a work from home developer.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye,
Okay.
everyone. Have a great night.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.